If only parenting were as smooth as bourbon. I'm Lene.
And I'm Jordan. And this is Bourbon and Babies.
Straight up parenting
on the rocks.
All right, here we are. We are back. It is Bourbon and Babies time, except it's not Bourbon and Babies time.
Wait, what is going on, Lene?
It's Gin and Babies time.
I like gin.
I mean, I like gin too. We are ginning and babying it tonight because we have two very dear friends here in our Bourbon and Babies studio. And we are talking about this new product that they have developed, created, released, and are about to open a distillery here in Louisville for. And it is called
Holi Gin.
Holi Gin. Right.
Holi Gin.
Nice.
We are drinking a bourbon drinker's gin.
That's right. So I'm Kartik Kamat.
And I'm Mara Corlett.
And we started this distillery, this idea of a concept 3 years ago. And Holi Gin is basically the fastest growing gin at Heidelberg right now at the moment, my distributor, which means that it's growing very fast in Kentucky.
That's amazing. And Kentucky's bourbon town. So the fact that you have a gin that is really running away with the competition is pretty incredible.
The reason why is, and people ask me, Kartik, why haven't you made a bourbon? And I go, have you ever been to a liquor store and seen the bourbon section? I think we got bourbon figured out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why can't we be great in all the other spirits? You know, that's why I said, let's make something that is truly phenomenal. And if you don't mind, have a sip. Try this thing.
Gladly.
Guys, it's
unlike
so good.
So good.
Gin in the world.
It truly is. And listen, I'm going to say it because I feel like when it comes from you, it feels like, oh, well, you're just saying that because you're biased, but I'm not. And although you guys are my friends, I'm also brutally honest, and you know this about me because we've been friends for a very long time. The first time I tried this, I could not believe the flavor profile. It tastes like a like fancy tea that you're drinking. It has so many aromatic flavors, and I'm not describing this the right way. Help me here.
No, but it's good. I mean, it has a little bit of sweetness to it. It is not something that hits your tongue and makes you pucker up like some other gins I've had. Like it goes around your entire palate, and it's very pleasant.
Right. When I think gin, I think pine trees.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Juniper.
Right.
Juniper.
I think cheap garbage gin that I used to drink in college with 7-Up or God knows what. And I think terrible hangovers. And that is not anything like what Holi Gin is. It is beautiful. I mean, it is smooth and elegant, and you can drink it on ice. It doesn't have to be mixed with anything.
So this bourbon drinker's gin, the way you drink this is don't overpower it. So a gin and soda, great way to drink it. Gin and tonic, 1-to-1. So 1 part gin to 1 part tonic. So you don't have the tonic overpower the gin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, because it's we call it the bourbon drinker's gin, I actually like it with ginger ale. I mix ginger ale with my bourbon sometimes.
How about ginger beer?
Oh, it's great with ginger beer.
So good.
You made that for me on my birthday, and it was terrific. Yeah, it was terrific.
This ginger ale really brings out the ginger profile and the Holi Gin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really good. It's really good.
Holi Gin is fantastic. So Kartik, tell us, what makes your gin special? What gives it that flavor?
So Holi, H-O-L-I, so for people that have not seen the bottle, H-O-L-I is the festival of colors. So what I wanted to do was make it a mash of my Indian heritage with my Kentucky upbringing. So I've been in the United States since I was 8 years old. So I wanted to create a product that's never been done before as a mixture of my two cultures.
So one of the things that is very interesting about the mash bill for the distillate that is used in this Holi Gin is that it is mostly a corn distillate. And
right.
that is something that is particularly common in bourbons. So really, the distillate could have been used to make a bourbon, but instead it has gone through the process of becoming a gin.
Is that where it gets the extra sweetness from because of the corn?
The corn is there. And also the sweetness that you taste comes from the spices that we used. So that is the secret. I think the innovation here was the 100% Kentucky corn plus the chai spices makes this really tasty concoction in the mouth.
That's what it is. It's the chai. I think that's what made me think tea the first time I drank it. I mean, it truly tastes, that chai really, really comes through.
It's interesting to me when we bring this to places, everyone picks something out. It's different. And I think one of the things that's really fascinating, I've been researching flavors and researching taste and spice. And one of the things that you found is that people like Indian food and the spices found in Indian food because the spices, they're complementary. They're savory and sweet. And they're things that are combinations that are not found in other types of dishes. And that's one of the things that's going on with this product too. It makes it tasty.
It's so good. So where do people get this? Where can our listeners get Holi Gin?
It's in basically every liquor store. So I'm really working on-premise, which means bars and restaurants, but found a lot of success going to Kroger to take it in, Total Wine to take it in.
Liquor Barn?
Liquor Barn's taking it in. I would say we're already in more than 100 establishments. Wow. Which is awesome for a company. I
saw it at Hell or High Water the other day too.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
This needs to be on every shelf in Kentucky. That's my goal, is you have to win home before you win the world.
Yeah, if for no other reason than it is a beautiful bottle.
It really is beautiful. When you said the Festival of Colors, you really see that on the bottle. Who does on the bottle for you?
So everything about this product is local, right? Every aspect of this product is made in Kentucky. There's a guy named Ferudin. He is amazing. He not only designed basically the bottle from what we told him. We want to come up with something that's creative. Trying to make a bottle with this complete wrapping, I don't think it's ever been done before on a gin. This might be the first time a gin bottle was wrapped like this. It's not inexpensive to do, and we had to test it. Will people think that all these colors, that the Holi colors, are attractive, or that they won't like it? We didn't know until we put it out there, and it is awesome.
It's
Who
beautiful.
Could not like that?
Yeah,
it's just
beautiful.
so cool.
It looks like watercolor. There's going to be a picture on our website, and there's going to be a picture, I'm sure, on all of the posts. So our listeners will be able to easily see this. But check it out. Go to your liquor store, and it'll pop out at you. In the gin section, this bright yellow, blue, red, green. Are all the bottles different, or do they all look exactly like this?
They all look like this.
Okay.
One of my goals is to innovate.
Yeah.
With the colors changing per bottle, but right now they all have
one step at a time.
There is a story with the elephant as well. That's on for the logo. Do you want to tell them that?
So I had to put an elephant on the logo. So the elephant is a very prosperous and sacred, like a god named Ganesh in India. About 10 years ago, a friend of mine from college, Abby, gave me a gift when she came back from India. Just a random gift, a pencil holder, which changed our lives forever, right? So this has got to be 10 cents, maybe 50 rupees or something like that, and maybe $1 worth of a gift. And then they came to me and she dropped this off, and it was the same day as Ganesh's birthday.
Oh, wow.
It was like God coming to the house. My mom was like, this is something really, really special. So we were about to go to, there's usually one household in the community or a few households that have a huge party for this festival where, they'll have a big puja, which is like a gathering for prayers. And then everybody would go. Ever since that gift, we called the priest immediately and said, we have this gift with Ganesh coming in. He came over right away. We did this puja in the house. And the following year, we have been doing it every year. And everybody now is coming to my parents' house to do this puja because it's become our tradition now.
I love it.
Yeah, and so I go, we have to put some kind of that on the thing because we want this also to be successful and prosperous and with as much blessings as we can get from everything. But the success it has gotten so far is it did win at its first competition triple gold with the highest recommendations for taste.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome.
I'm not surprised at all.
It's now we're competing the San Francisco Spirits competition. I'm curious to see the results. I'm doing a talk at the ADI conference, which is the American Distilling Institute, on a lean distillery startup. Because most of the startups you have seen in the space, I mean, you've been a Rabbit Hole or Angel's Envy. Those are millions and millions
lots of investors.
dollars.
Yeah.
Lots of investors. We haven't used anybody else's dollar. Nothing. This is my first spirits business startup. And I go, I have to know the business, understand the business at a much, much more intimate level, understand the players, the movers and shakers to figure out how to create something of value. And then if it is successful, when it is successful,
that's right.
We'll go big. We'll go big.
I love it.
That's the goal.
How did you come up with the idea of doing this to begin with?
My family is in the countertop business. Granite America, we make countertops. And then we had the opportunity to buy the building. The
next
area,
door.
So we had say we can buy where we are located, the building next door and the building behind us. And we decided to do that. So my sister and I made a holding company. We bought the building. And literally my dad goes, why don't we put like a bourbon distillery in here? There's this bourbon boom happening, and let's create that. So I owe the idea of someone planting an idea in my head, and I go, Dad, I don't know anything about bourbon. I don't know anything about vodka or gin, or I don't know any of that stuff. She goes, Curtis, go figure it out. and I go, okay.
That's his dad.
Just go figure it out.
I go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to. Because I see an opportunity here. I want to be the first person of Indian origin or Indian heritage to be a part of the Kentucky Distillers Association. I want to be a part of.
So are you?
Yeah, will be. Once the distillery gets 100% operational, I can go become a part of it.
Are you racing any other Indians?
I think we might be. There's some people in the wine business, but I don't see anybody in the spirits business that I know of.
That's awesome.
I might be the first. Well, if not, I'm definitely the first to have a product in the market by himself. That's awesome. They might have invested in products, but this is 100% mine, right? So
wow. That's awesome. I'm really proud of you. Fucking hats off is all I have to say for going and doing it and making it happen. I just feel like, because we're talking about like your Indian heritage and all of that, would you guys mind if we just talk a little bit about the two of you having very different heritage coming together and like, because you don't have kids yet, but this is called Bourbon and Babies. Have you guys talked about what it's going to be like when you have kids?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
When are you going to have a baby?
I'm not going to ask you when you're going to have babies because it's none of my fucking business.
But I will. When are you going to have babies?
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. And then it's true. Like everywhere Mary goes, oh, I want to tell you something. People are like, are you having a baby?
Yeah.
Everywhere
it's true. I'll say, I have great news. And they go, oh, you're pregnant.
You're like,
damn
it.
And it just, it's so sad.
That would be.
It would be one that would be great news. This is going to sound super lame now.
Now, instead, what you have to do, Mara, is you have to say, I have bad news. I'm not pregnant right now, but I did just buy a house.
Yeah,
and then they'll be like, oh, yay. It's all about framing.
It's all about framing. That's how I should start off lowering the expectations.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't care when you have kids, but I do understand that you both do want children.
You do.
Yeah.
And because you come from both very different cultural backgrounds, what's that going to be like?
Yeah, my mom is definitely heavily influencing Mara to push to have kids. I don't think she's ever talked to me about it, but
I don't know. I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so. I think your sister is excited because she can't wait to have nieces and nephews.
Of course.
And that's what she's excited about. And as a person who's an only child, I don't have that. I don't have a brother or sister putting any pressure on me. So I've kind of, Deepa, his sister, has become the closest thing I have to a sister, which is really lovely.
That's the best part about getting married is you get these in-law siblings that can like really make your life even more special.
Exactly. I just don't want to disappoint her.
No, I think that having babies is this very scary thought. You know, like to me, it's very frightening. How am I going to be a father? Am I going to be a good father? What are the there's always a chance the baby could be, I don't know what the right word is. I know there's lots of complications.
Challenged in some way. Yeah.
How did you guys make the decision to have a baby?
I I remember this, actually.
I tend to like the practice of making babies.
Jesus Christ.
So
God, shut your mouth. Stop it.
one got past the goalie.
Yeah. One got past the goalie. It was a little bit of a surprise. We were not planning on having children for 5 more years. In fact, when we moved to Louisville, we moved into an apartment, and we came here to visit for 1 weekend. We had 1 weekend to find an apartment before moving here for work.
I met you that weekend.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And it was the very last place we looked at. And we asked the people who were moving out why they were moving out, because before we walked in, I was like, Jordan, this place has to be condemned for us to not take this because we have no choice. We can't come back before we move here to find another place. So the people were like, well, we're moving out because it's a really old house. It was in Crescent Hill, and you can't control the temperature. And with a newborn, it just makes it really difficult. And we look at each other and we're like, well, we're not having kids for like another 5 years. So who cares? Move in. 3 weeks later, I find out I'm pregnant.
So that was the first one. And then the second one was very much planned.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a decision, and then months and months of trying, and then it finally happened, and all was well.
But I feel you on the fear. But are you actually afraid that you won't be a good dad?
Well, I work a lot, right? We have the countertop business. We have the distilled spirits business. I'm always have my feet and or fingers in lots of different ideas and concepts.
Hands and lots of ideas.
Fingers. Well,
Fingers,
I can't put my hand is
fingers,
in the
feet,
major business.
bodies.
But yeah, I mean, my time is very rare to
But like the one thing I've realized is people are always trying to plan and think like, is this the right time to have kids? And what we realize is there's never like a right time. It happens. And when it happens, things adjust and it works out, and it's never as scary as you think it's going to be. There are scary moments, but
Right. I mean, listen, we were in a brand new city. We had no friends, no family.
New job.
And both of us were working at the same place. So all of our eggs were in one basket. And oh, by the way, I had to tell them this brand new hire that I'm pregnant. It was probably one of the more stressful type situations that you can be in as a surprise pregnancy. And I worked a lot, and Jordan worked a lot, but our kids are still great kids. So if we can do it, you can do it, first of all. And second of all, I'm pretty sure that you're like one of the best uncles.
Yeah.
It is. I was going to say, he's a great uncle. I called him and said, what do you want to do tonight? Saturday night, last night. And he goes, Audie's in town. This is his oldest nephew. And he says, we're going to go to Laser Blaze with him.
Yeah, if you're a really good uncle, you're going to be a great dad.
How can you not say yes when Mamu, can we go to Laser Blaze, please?
Right.
The extended please. That's like you. How can you say no?
Now imagine that is your spawn asking you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as luring as it is when it's your nephew, when it's your own, it's that much more.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Well, I never question again whether you're going to be a good dad. Like you are. First of all, we're human beings and we're incredibly resilient. We're built that way. We make it work. So even though you work a lot, they won't know any different. Mm-hmm. And they're still going to have you. And when they have you, you're going to be fully present with them because that's who you are. And I know that just from, the way you interact with your nephews. Like, you're going to be amazing. We don't even have to talk about you, Mary Catherine, because you're like already a mom to like a bajillion kids. The Baptist version of your wedding was the perfect example when you had 14 flower girls. All right. You're an only child, Mary Catherine. Does that, have you put any thought into, if you have kids, how many you would want to have? And how does being an only child color that for you?
I love being an only child. For all of there's only a couple of things that's really tough about being an only child. And that is, I was not only just an only child, my mom's siblings and her cousins didn't have any children. So I was the only grandchild, even for my great uncles and great aunts.
So you were lacking for attention.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how spoiled were you?
I was so people were very cared for. I was very cared for. It's very cared for, and everyone in my mom's family just always loved me. I was the little gem, little jewel in the family because I was the only kid. So, but the other thing is that also meant that at family gatherings, I was the only child. Mm-hmm. And as my family has started to get older and they live out farther away, it's tougher and tougher to have a Thanksgiving with a big family. Mm-hmm. So marrying into Kartik's family was a kind of a culture shock in itself, not because he's from a different culture, but because I had never seen what a family filled with other people my age looked like.
Wow.
And how they interact with each other, and that they're his cousins, they interact like brothers and sisters as well. I just didn't know what that was like. And it was it's been fun. It's been really fun. And I probably think that would be the only thing that, as an only child, that was the toughest part. And it comes when you're an adult.
So do you think you're spoiled?
I do not think I'm spoiled.
Okay, good.
I don't think I'm spoiled. I don't.
At least you know already that even if you had an only child, they're at least going to have a bunch of other people around their age, or at least within X amount of years. It's not going to be they're the only.
Yeah, it won't be like what you grew up with.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people who think that only children are spoiled, and I will say that I've seen only children. I also am a teacher, so I see kids who are only children who are not spoiled at all, and I see kids who have multiple brothers and sisters who are spoiled. Mm-hmm. And I know adults who are extremely spoiled who have had brothers and sisters too. So I don't know if that's necessarily a factor.
Yeah.
I think it is about how you're raised. I think it's about how you are parented.
I think you're right.
And I think that I was very fortunate. My parents recognized that they couldn't have any more children, and basically because of my mom's health. And so what they did is they just created family. They made sure I was involved in lots of activities with other kids so that I had a healthy dynamic and that I understood that I needed to help. And they took me to do service projects so that I had a sense that I needed to be serving others instead of just being about what I needed. So
instilling value.
Yeah. That's I think that there's ways of conquering the problem of parenting an only child. I think that.
Yeah.
But of course, I don't know if I'm the person to talk about that. It would be an episode for my mom.
Well, you and your mom, I feel like we probably need to just have an episode with you and your mom. But I think that it's important to repeat what it is that you said about it's the parenting. Because I completely agree. I think there's lots of different people. And yes, there are some stereotypes around only children and them being super awkward. And a lot of that comes from the parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add to the parenting?
Yeah.
The beauty of having a sister was most of the parenting is done by the siblings, right? Like, my sister will get mad if I don't send her a Mother's Day gift. She's 6 years older, and she's like, you didn't send me a Mother's Day gift this year, Kartik. What are you thinking? Like,
I'm sorry. I will object to that. That I will object to that portrayal of his sister. I will say that she will mention if he doesn't send her a Mother's Day gift.
But I always do. I have to.
Because, in all fairness, your sister really did mother you in so many ways. Right. And, when you were first moved to Louisville, your parents worked a lot.
Yep.
And so it was you all.
You were a great sister-in-law for sticking up for Deepa, for sure.
Thank you. I think she's got 3 kids. She runs how many businesses? And on top of all of that, she teaches at the Hindu temple in Cincinnati and is active yoga. And she is.
She's always dancing and learning new dances. I go, I call her Didi means sister. I go, where do you have time to do that? Like, what? How do you do that? Why are you doing that? How are you doing that? And how do you make the time to do that? She was like, I don't know.
And your mom helps too.
Mom helps for sure.
Yeah.
But what's really fun to see is when Ian, who is 3, I think he's 4?
He's 5, Kartik.
Is he 5 now?
He's 5.
What? It happened so fast.
Who is basically raising Anya.
Who's 3.
So like that dynamic, watching Anya learn everything from her brothers, that's awesome to see.
Mm-hmm. Listen, we experienced that with our 2 kids. I mean, we were pretty close to just having an only child. We teetered for a very long time around, do we have any more kids or not?
Yeah,
because frankly, I didn't have the best pregnancy. I was so fortunate to have had a healthy baby and to have been healthy at the end of all of it. So please don't misunderstand that I'm totally grateful that it happened, but I was not in the right mental space for it. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Yeah.
I really struggled, and I really struggled for a long time after with postpartum depression. I had prenatal depression, which I didn't know was a thing until afterwards. It's a thing.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of it had to do with our environment and the work situation, and it was a lot of changes, overwhelming changes all at once. And it took me a long time to even stomach the idea of ever being pregnant again. And by a long time, I mean 5 years. And so for 5 years, we went back and forth thinking that no, probably she should just be an only child. And, you know, we looked at people like you and other friends that we have that are only children and who are well-adjusted only children, who are incredibly wonderful members of our community, who are doing awesome things, who are not the stereotypical self-centered, awkward, all of the things that people dump into that bucket of only childness. And we were pretty close. And it actually wasn't until some family circumstances happened that really shifted our mindset around it, that made us decide. And also seeing that our daughter was just such a great little human being, and knowing that she would be such an awesome big sister.
And we're happy we did.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. It's truly the best to see them together. Okay, so let's go back to this question, because what I was asking you, okay, so you both come from these very different cultures. Only childness, big family, Baptist, Kentucky, of Indian heritage. What's it going to be like with your kids? What are those conversations like?
Oh man, that's a good one.
I don't know if we've actually tackled this topic.
Well, let's do it now.
Okay, this is a great opportunity. I don't know. I don't know. It's actually one of the things that is one of the reasons why we want to have some time to think about it, because we want to decide how. I think that both our families are similar in that the family is about the children, and you give attention to them, and their ideas are just as important. And they deserve attention and love. And I think that that's one of the reasons why Kartik's family actually, when I first met them, that's one of the reasons why they liked me. It's because that rang true for both of our cultures.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that there are more similarities than there are differences.
Without thinking. Ready?
Okay.
Rapid fire. How many kids do you want to have? Go.
2.
1.
All right.
So you do want one kid.
I do want one kid, yeah.
Tell me about that.
I just think that I want to be able to give the amount of time and energy to one little bitty human being. And
you know they don't say little bitty.
I know. And I think that it'll be hard for Kartik, because I think he likes them when they're little bitty. But, you know, he likes to see
That's why you have a
them
second
as
one.
cute. Yeah. So I personally like one. I also just think that I know that shuttling kids is a big thing, and shuttling one kid is completely different than shuttling 2.
See, Kartik, you played this all wrong. You need to say 4. Yeah. And then you could have compromised.
Because you can't have 1.5.
Well, I want 1. Kartik wants 2. His sister wants 4. 5?
I don't know.
And your mom wants 3.
I'm glad you guys have talked through this. Well, you know, it's interesting. I was reading a couple of articles before this interview, and I think the national average for single child homes is 20%. 20% of people
who have kids
only
child.
Have
1. It's getting to be more and more, too. You know.
So the Pew Research Center reported that the average size of an American family has been shrinking from 3.7 children in 1960 to 1.9 today.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's still heavily 2.
Yeah.
What's 0.9 of a child look like?
Mara Catherine, you introduced yourself as Mara Catherine Corlett, but you are also
the Honorable
Justice of the Peace for District 1.
I have to say, I mean, almost immediately after I was elected, I started getting mail addressed to the Honorable Mara Catherine Corlett.
That's amazing.
And I was so shocked. My mother told me,
it's about freaking time.
I think I'm just going to keep this office for the title. No.
What does Justice of the Peace do? Because I can't be the only one that didn't know this.
So, Justice of the Peace Magistrate, they can be part of the notary system, and they can officiate weddings. The notary system is pretty well taken care of by the county clerk's office.
Yes.
So, really, I could do something along that line, but I do officiating weddings, and that's the most important. The crux of my job is officiating weddings. And while that didn't seem to a lot of people like a race that people should pay attention to, it actually should be paid attention to. And the reason why is that in District 3, there was a person who was a justice of the peace who wouldn't officiate same-sex marriages. And he did not get reelected this time around. But I thought, if we aren't paying attention to these little offices because we think that the position doesn't hold much weight, we're forgetting that there are people reaching out to a justice of the peace who are denying them service. And even just one person having to feel discriminated by someone who's in public office is too many.
I agree.
And
that's why I voted for you.
That's it. Thank you.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So proud to put that sign in my yard.
Thank
you.
you. And I appreciate
Even though I'm in a cove, I was like, this might have been a waste of a sign for them. I feel bad now.
No, people can see your house.
It's true.
It's true.
So as bourbon drinkers, we had a fantastic evening of Holi Ginning, and we highly recommend that everyone run out right now to any local liquor store, since they seem to be everywhere at the moment.
And if they don't have it,
yell at them.
Tell them that they're not a reputable business until they carry Holi Gin.
I love that.
That is
I will
right.
do that.
Yeah.
It's been my strategy from the beginning.
I need to start going around to different liquor stores that I know do not carry it and ask them for it.
Do you want to be legitimate, or do you want to be like a...
Do you want to be a second class?
Are you the Walmart of liquor stores? What is this?
We would love for Walmart to carry.
All right,
I love
everybody. Well, we've had an excellent evening, and as you can tell, we've had a lot of fun this evening drinking this Holi Gin. So, as always, we love our bourbon and gin.
Bourbon drinkers, Gin.
That's
But
right.
please drink responsibly